oh, we're just going to do a little tier list video. It's going to be easy. It's just going to be a one and done thing. It's going to be the easiest thing I ever did. Nuh-uh. Hey, this is taking a little bit longer than usual. This might take a few days. Okay, this is actually very challenging. I'm really running up against a lot of walls here. This might take a week. Okay, maybe this is the hardest thing I'm ever going to have to do on this channel. I don't know, so you better click like. That's the sequence of events that led to the creation of the Ultimate Starship tier list. When I called it Ultimate, I didn't quite realize what that meant. Ultimate means all-encompassing, the end, perfect, unbeatable. Here it is. I think it worked out to be 230 some images. I had initially reported 219 on that community post, but I struck down some and added some in and really thought over it, and I've gone over this a million times. If there's a spelling error, I'm going to have a mental eruption that results in the destruction of the immediate area. So let's hope we don't have a significant spelling error. I've gone over everything a million times. This is all manually done. I got all these images from Memory Alpha. They were all WebP files, of course. I converted them all to JPEG. I put them in a square aspect ratio canvas in Photoshop. Moved them in there correctly. I didn't change any of them except for some of them. I changed the brightness to make the text look, more legible. My point with that was not to play any favorites. Okay, we're just going with the first Memory Alpha image for all these things. I didn't sift through anything. I didn't try to make anything look better or worse than it really was. The key word here is legibility and freedom. I wanted somebody to use this tier list, just kind of as a public service here, without having to recognize every ship right off the bat just by looking at it. That's why I didn't like about old tier lists that were on TierMaker. They weren't labeled properly. When these are labeled, you have the freedom to zoom in, read it, look it up, and then make your conclusion based on what you find after that. Because there's so much information on every starship on the internet. If only you knew the name, right? And now you do. And I wanted it to be clear, legible. So this is like an Arial font, bold, big, right there, as big as I can make it within reason. And here's what we ended up with. Now the ground rules. This is where it got very confusing with me. I had gone down a few bad tracks. I had wasted hours of effort. I had to strike down a lot of the things I had originally come up with. I originally was making a list that even included the ships that were never seen. So I was looking at the episode Up the Long Ladder from TNG, and there's a screenshot, basically, of a bunch of ships listed that are never seen. It's just a list of ships and an LCARS display. And originally I had those ships with no image. And it worked up to I was getting like 50 plus ships that you never see in canon. And it was just known by name, and I had to get rid of it. I had to just stop at some point because it was never going to get done. It was driving me crazy. So that's gone. Originally, I had some ships that were only featured kind of in soft canon. I had to say no. This is purely canon. If a ship is mentioned but not seen on screen, it's not in this tier list. If it's seen but not described or named, it's in this tier list with an assumed name. So you can take that as you will. This is something that's going to be available to anyone who uses the link. You can change this tier list how you want. You can just forget the ones you don't know, or try to read up on the ones you don't know. Maybe this is a learning exercise. Or you can say, oh, I don't want any of the shuttles, and you can remove the shuttles. Because eventually I came to the conclusion that a shuttle was a spaceship, a starship is a spaceship, spaceship, it's a ship that's in space. That also means a satellite. According to Oxford Dictionary, a satellite is a spaceship. But a spaceship is a space vessel that is especially crewed. So there was some confusion about whether crews mattered. Eventually I said that didn't matter. So satellites are in. Probes are in, deep space probes, not like a probe that you shoot. That would be a projectile. Tugs are in. Work bees. You name it. This is truly ultimate. So with all that out of the way, let's get down and gritty into the nitty gritty and see where I stack up on this tier list with all these different ships. I don't expect to really get this all done here. This may be a multiple parter. I have no idea. Depends on how sidetracked I get. I'm just going to try to take it easy and see where where my heart may take me. And in no particular order, let's just get right down to it. So, okay, Academy Trainer Craft. In side canon, like I think in uncanonized Star Trek reading material like TNG Technical Manual and all that stuff, which by the way is not considered canon at all for this video. By the way, in this tier list, class is synonymous with type. They're considered the same thing here. There is a difference, but we're not going to get into that here. It's not important. Academy Trainer Craft, I think, was misnamed somewhere, but I'm pretty sure this is the accurate one. You may remember from the Starburst, that just kind of came back with the latest season of Lower Decks. And here it is here. And it's a very bland design. It looks like a toy. I'm not big into like the single-seater. I like shuttles, but I don't like, ones that feel a little bit too much like a starfighter. I'm not really into that. I don't like that. It gives me the ick. So for Academy Trainer Craft, bland design, forgettable, but serviceable, I'm just going with a D. So right off the bat, we're going with D. Here's the Aero Shuttle. We see the bottom of it, so it's technically on screen in Star Trek. This is the Voyager Aero Shuttle. It's supposed to launch from the ventral side of the Intrepid class saucer section, and it's supposed to just be like kind of a souped up shuttle. And from the name, I assume it's supposed to have aerodynamic flight control. So that's pretty cool. But I'm not really totally into the planes. I'm not really a plane guy, but it's probably better than the Academy Trainer Craft. So let's just go with C. Akira. Oh man, if you don't put this in at least A, you're gonna get swatted or something. What else can I say? I think first introduced in First Contact, and then later stolen for Star Trek Enterprise. Sorry. The Alita. Now, what is this? This is the first of the sequel classes. I'm not a huge fan of that. The original is usually better, but it's a tale as old as Star Trek itself. Let's just do the same class, but again, the Alita is the Akira, but it looks a little bit Star Trek Online-y, so I'm not really into that. But the configuration is still there, so I'm going to have to go with B. The Ambassador concept. This is not actually shown as a ship in the show, but for the purposes of this tier list, a model displayed on screen in the show is considered to be accurate, because there would be no reason they would make a model of a ship that didn't really exist, would they? Would you really in your office have a model of a ship that wasn't real? So the Ambassador concept, the Andrew Probert concept for the Ambassador or the Enterprise C, as it appeared as a wall mount in TNG, if it is accurate to the Probert design concept, it is so good it's basically a tearjerker. So I'm going to have to put that one in A. I love the Ambassador class concept. The one we got on screen though, which is up next, I'm not loving it. I used to like it more. I like a clunky ship, and this one's a bit of a clunker, and that's not really an insult, because there's something to be said for a chunky ship. The Ambassador is going in B. Angelou. This is the, if I'm correct, this is the giant, like, disc-shaped kind of space arboretum. When in Discovery, when he says, when Admiral Vance says, "Oh, we have to make apples out of our own waste," and you're wondering, I thought we just passed a gigantic forest. You can't grow an apple in there. That's the Angelou. It's just a bunch of plants. It's interesting. It's fun. I'd like to go to it, but it's not. It doesn't break the bank creatively. So we're just going with, I don't know, C. It's in the C. How can I complain about plants? The Antares TOS, and there's a million different ships called Antares. We're going with remastered canon. Anything that was changed for TOS and remastered is now considered canon, as it overwrites what came before, and I'm mostly okay with what happened in remastered. So Antares TOS, this is going, in D. I like some clunk, but there's a point where it gets frightening. And speaking of clunk, here's the Antares Antares class. It's also sometimes called the Deneva class. I can't believe this is a Federation ship, but Memory Alpha thinks it is. This ship is a chameleon. It's played multiple different roles. It's been alien ships, Federation ships. Oh, some freighters here. What is it? Oh, it's that Antares thing. I think it was also the erstwhile. And I hate it. It's it doesn't belong in the Federation. This is the Apollo Command Service Module, and also the Lunar Module. How could we forget an important milestone in the history of, well, the Earth and of Star Trek? This vessel went to the moon. It was a long road getting from there to here. There was a lot of problems. It was a bumpy road, but they all seemed to kind of make it. And it was extremely primitive, but for the time, I think it did a pretty good job. And I'm generally a big fan of Earth history at that time, so I'm gonna go with B for this one. This one's pretty freaking cool. I think it could have been cooler, but B is pretty cool. Would have been nice to have to put down a larger mass on the surface in order to get backups, right? The lunar module, the lander section of the lunar module, I believe only had one rocket, and if that failed, that would be very bad. So you want backups, and that's why it's in B. The Apollo class. Who in the name of God thought that this was a Federation ship? Look at this obvious Vulcan ship that is obviously not called the Apollo, yet is referred to the Apollo. To be the Apollo. Like, you tell me. I'm not the final arbiter of what's correct here, but I tried to be because I called this tier list ultimate. This is apparently the Apollo class. I have no idea why, and I hate it. It's going in E. Oh, the Aqua Shuttle. The animated series is considered canon for the purposes of this tier list. Strike it down if you don't like it, if you want to do this tier list yourself. The Aqua Shuttle. This is awesome. This is it goes through space too, so it is considered a spaceship, but it's mainly for underwater. Under the sea, down. It's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. The Aqua Shuttle looks like if Starfleet in 2250 made a car. Oh my God, I'd love to drive this thing around. Look at it. It's a car. It's awesome. It's an A. The Aquarius. This is like kind of, what if we took our own Defiant with us on the Odyssey class? And this screenshot is from Star Trek Online, but it was all but shown in Picard season 3 when we've seen the Odyssey. If you see the Odyssey, it carries the Aquarius. It's part of the ship. So we're allowed to kind of use this Star Trek Online screenshot as Memory Alpha did. I don't like its shape. It doesn't say Federation to me. I wish it was just more like the Defiant, to be honest. No need to reinvent the wheel. It's very easy when you're designing something new to design something outlandish, to design a hot rod, but it's always better to go with the devil you know, and the Aquarius is an odd design, so it's going in C. It's passable. The Archer. That single nacelle ship from, I think, the first episode of Strange New Worlds apparently can be operated by like 3 people. I don't know. Blue Bessard Ram Scoop was kind of cool. It's kind of different. I like one nacelle ships. I follow generally the kind of Gene Roddenberry / Andrew Probert kind of design guide on ships where they need 2 nacelles, 50% visibility between the nacelles, bridge on top. You need to be able to see the nacelles from the front. One nacelle ships in my mind canon. One nacelle ships. The one nacelle actually contains 2 little nacelles in it. That's how I explain it. That's how I get away with it, because I like single nacelle ships. So I'm willing to massage it in my mind. Not so for the 3 nacelle ships, but when you give me that 1 nacelle ship, hey, that's pretty cool. So I'm going with B. Arctic 1. This is a transport ship that can also go through space. It carries those scientists in that episode of Enterprise where for some reason we have to meet the Borg early, but then people were like, oh wait, this is in the timeline where the Borg came to Earth after first contact, so it makes sense. And then it gets all Borgified really fast. It's as bland as it gets, but I guess it's passable for a ship that you would see flying around Earth. It feels like they kind of designed it in 2 seconds. It's probably in D. The Ares 4, again, I also mentioned before that I loved space travel of this era. And the Ares 4 is pretty cool. I think it goes to Mars. Was it the first man ship to go to Mars in Star Trek canon, I don't remember. But it's a cool design. It's a realistic design. And that sends electrical signals to my brain that makes me happy. So I'm putting this one in C. I don't think it quite feels as good as the Apollo, but it's pretty cool. This is the Argo, a ship that holds a buggy so that they can go, I don't know, buggying around on the surface of that planet, what to look for B4's body or something. I can't remember. I think it's from Nemesis. I kind of forgot that movie. But this is the Argo, and I guess the Argo carries the buggy, but it's just a shuttle. It's like, hey, Lieutenant Mark, design a shuttle. You have 1 hour. This is the kind of thing you get, and that's why it's going in E. This is the Armstrong. It appeared in the Kelvin timeline movies, and when a ship is in Kelvin timeline, that's labeled there for ease of use purposes. And for those of you who don't want to consider Kelvin ships for your own tier style video or whatever you want to do with this, it's a 3 nacelle ship. It's a saucer, 3 underslung nacelles. I like underslung nacelles, so it's getting some points there. Don't really like the 3 nacelle ships. Overall, the pre-Constitution class ships from the Kelvin era, I actually kind of like them. But this one is probably the one I like the least. So it's going to go in D. The B-24 CLN, I don't know where that name came from. And Memory Alpha seems to think this is called the B-24 CLN. This is the Ralph McQuarrie model for like the Planet of the Titans version of the Enterprise that was supposed to happen instead of like the motion picture or something like that. Eventually this design would be revisited for the Crossfield class, and there's a reason they struck it down and didn't want to use it. It's kind of ugly. So it appears kind of in the background. It appears in the background of Star Trek 3 in the space dock, if you look really closely, a variant of it, and also appears in the like surplus place, the surplus trading place that you see in TNG that one time, or maybe 2 times, with that Zach Dorn guy in the background. This is it. It's just kind of a background ship. You know, we need a lot of ships for the surplus place, flying around space dock, maybe Wolf 359. Well, say no more. We got the B-24 CLN. It's like the Ralph McQuarrie design. And I don't like it at all, so it's in the E. This is the Bird's Eye type. The Bird's Eye probe, or whatever you want to call it, space module, I think is what contained those frozen people in Conspiracy. Not Conspiracy, was it Neutral Zone in TNG, in the early episode? You know, those people come back and they're worrying about their bank account or what's on the tube or something, and they're playing guitar. I kind of like it. It's a good enough design for a probe, if you will. It just doesn't do anything special for me, so I'm putting it in E. The Bonaventure C-121. Now, when I had the Star Trek chronology of flight, or whatever it was called, Star Trek Flight Chronology, Star Trek something, I'm looking at it right here, the book, but I can't quite see it. I can't quite read it from here, something like that. And it was kind of like detailing the history of Star Trek before we really had the canon history. Be careful out there. People can write whatever they want in books and just sell it, and it doesn't have to be real at all. But this was my Phoenix, the first warp ship that we ever had on Earth, and it was called the Bonaventure. And it showed up in the background of a Deep Space Nine episode somewhere. And I always really thought it was cool. It's unique. It's like it's 2 ships married together, which is what you used to see with old Earth designs for things. The front ship is some kind of thing that launches off and maybe does atmospheric flight. And this big mast in the back is all for propulsion. So it looks primitive, which, you know, it serves its purpose. And I really like it. And I modeled it myself, by the way. Check out my DeviantArt. So that's that's A. The Bonaventure from the animated series, though, I don't know. Let's take a Constitution class and make it ugly. Make it an ugly duckling. So no. That's a D. This is the California class captain's yacht, and I'm glad we got to see some captain's yacht action in Lower Decks. This one, though, however, it's a little bit sovereign-y, it's a little bit bland. It's nothing really to write home about, and unfortunately, it's going in C. It's serviceable. Okay. The California class itself, though, it's ugly, but that's a good thing. It's supposed to be a comedic ship. It serves its purpose. I think it's achieving what the artist had intended, and for that reason, it's going in B. I would make a few updates though. I would change. I would maybe make the secondary hull with the deflector like up a little more, so it's not totally in line with the nacelles. But for now, it's going in B. The Cardenas, I believe this is like a 4-nacelled ship with I think the bridge at the fore. I think this one in this picture might be the USS Baran. This is the ship that Lorca like magically got swapped with his mirror universe alternate in, and it's very Discovery. It's a Discovery ship, so it wouldn't look out of place in 2400, but here it is in 22 something. And I don't really love the 4-nacelle ships. I think it makes them too much of a hot rod. If you catch my drift, your opinion may vary. But as far as the 4-nacelle ships go, and as far as the Discovery era ships go, this one isn't that bad. So I'm putting this one in B. The Centaur, one of my personal favorites. What was it? What was it in Sacrifice of Angels? I might be getting that wrong. The Deep Space Nine episode. The names of the episodes. I'm really flexing here, trying to get all this information out and to kind of be halfway accurate. I love the Centaur. This is how you do a kit bash. Let's take the Excelsior class, get rid of its secondary hull, give it these huge monster pylons for the nacelles, and have them be set really far apart. And what you get is a fast-looking, simple to design, rugged ship with a utility and a beauty. And when you can match utility and beauty, that's when Starfleet achieves real mastery over its industrial design. And I'm going to have this be the first S. And you get to play as this ship in Star Trek Resurgence, and they call it the Centaur class. Thank you. I love it. Play Star Trek Resurgence. S. You're the first S. The Chaffee is a shuttle that is launched specifically, I think, from the Defiant. And when a ship doesn't have a class given to it, what you do is you take the first named ship you see. Like, so the first time we saw this class, it was called Chaffee. We call it a Chaffee type. So since class and type are the same thing in this tier list, I can just call it Chaffee. It's like the Defiant had a baby. It reminds me of the Defiant. And I think this shuttle actually has its own deflector, which is kind of cool. So as far as shuttles go, I really like this one. So it's going in B. The Challenger. I think I hate this one. Yeah, oof. Big oof. This is a 2-nacelle ship. Good. But we put the nacelles opposing each other vertically, and in between is a secondary hull. So these nacelles have like no line of sight between each other. 2 nacelles good, no line of sight bad. And that it's getting to the hideous. You're close to F. You're riding the line, Challenger, but you're going in E. Good for you. The Cheyenne, a 4-nacelle ship in the Galaxy class style with kind of like different, I think, highlighter marker nacelles. Look into the behind the scenes details about these ships, although this tier list video is not intended to be something that covers everything behind the scenes. That would be crazy. The Cheyenne, I believe the nacelles at that point were actually markers. Like that you write with, kind of. And they just said, hey, stick these on. They look pretty cool. I wish I was there to design all these background ships. You can do whatever you want. Hey, here's this USB drive. Maybe it can be a nacelle. You don't know. The Cheyenne class, though, for 4-nacelle ships, I prefer to the Cardenas, but it's not enough to go in B. So right now, it's just gonna go. It's gonna go in C. It you know what? Okay, it's Galaxy class style parts. You can go here. Yeah, that makes sense. So the Class 2 shuttle is kind of the first of the Sovereignty style shuttles that we're going to be looking at. And it is what it is. Little body, 2 nacelles. How can you go wrong? It's a little dinky. It's a little toy car that you fly around in space. How can I complain? You're going in D. You're not horrible. You're not an E and F, but you're not amazing either. Okay, here comes the Class C. This ugly, too big, standard shuttle that we saw at the start of Discovery and even kind of poked its head into Picard. It's ugly. It doesn't look like it belongs to Starfleet. It looks like a toy in a bad way. It looks like the decorations on a Mountain Dew bottle. I don't know what they were thinking. It's overly flashy. It's a complete hot rod. I hate it. It's an absolute E. It's not disgusting. It's not revolting, so it's not going in F yet. The Class F. Oh my god. How can you beat this? The little butter dish. You take the top off, you get your butter, put it on the toast. I like any shuttle that has those ridges on the top that look like it's for going into a hangar. So it looks like you can lift it up and work on it. That's in my mind what that was kind of like alluding to. I think that's so cool. It, it looks like the Enterprise. It looks like it belongs there. And it's really grown on me. Yes, it's ugly, but it's the kind of ugly that grows on you, like a rash or something. So the Class F is going in B. You're almost an A, though. The Class J, Mudship / the Aurora in TOS Remastered. I'm considering the same. They're both Class J. One has windows, one doesn't. They're not different enough to be a different class. They're variants. But the Class J as it stands right now, I actually like it. It's a Federation design, I believe, and I think it's considered a Federation ship, at least by Memory Alpha, if I remember correctly. Feel free to correct me. The Class J, it looks like the secondary hull of a Starfleet ship, the way it's scooped at the back, except it has nacelles coming out either side, going down, and then it has like a sensor dish on the pylon, and then the pylons are like bent like that. It's got ideas that should be taken further. We should have seen come back, and for that, it's going in B. The Conestoga, one of these early colonial ships from Enterprise era where they left, and they maybe left a little bit too early. Should have waited for Warp 5, guys. Warp 5 complex was around the corner. You didn't have to leave when you're going like Warp 2 or something. I don't know. It's got an interesting forward section. It's just kind of a blocky ship with 2 nacelles. But I like some primitive ships, so I'm going with C. It's good enough. The Constellation, I never liked it. I do not like the thickness of the saucer. Why does the Constellation class, like singularly, basically, get to have a weird saucer? It gets to have a saucer that's so thick. It's just something about that is just, it's off-putting to me. It gives me some big yikes. Picard seems to love it though. I mean, hey, you'd love it too, I guess, if it was your first command, no matter how ugly it was. And it is a 4-nacelle ship, and the nacelles are placed in an ugly way. I don't like when nacelles are super close to each other. You're going in D. The Constitution 2, I'm going with that kind of naming scheme. 1, 2, 3, and all that. The Constitution 2, it first appeared in Star Trek The Motion Picture. I greatly respect it. As I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate the original Constitution a little bit more. I mean, Matt Jeffries walked so we could run, right? Every time we changed the Constitution class around. But I think it's a fantastic ship. It looks great on screen. It's going in A. Now, not putting that in S, that I probably just hexed myself for the rest of my life. So I should probably watch out for black cats and other unlucky things. The Constitution 3, it's just a Shangri-La class that they just brought back out of nowhere, and it's so backwards. One thing you'll note about me is that I hate when technology looks like it's going backwards. Yeah, I despise that. And I'm never going to like the Enterprise, the Titan Prize. I'm never going to like the Titan A. I'm never going to like the Constitution 3. It's going in D. Sorry. The Constitution 32nd Century. Is that a new Constitution class? I think Awashikan says on the bridge of the Discovery when they show up at Starfleet headquarters. And I hope it's not. I don't know what she means by that. Why she can just immediately identify that as a Constitution class. I guess it's a Constitution class if you got 2 nacelles and a saucer. I guess that makes you Constitution. And they said it. So this is the Constitution of the 32nd century. And it's bad. Par for the course with a lot of the ships from that era. I appreciate the effort. I like that they went out on a limb and did something different. But I don't like this one. So it's going in E. It's bad. If you're going to call it Constitution, you got to swing for the fences. Not like that. The Constitution class from Kelvin 2. This is the one that appeared at the end of Star Trek Beyond. I think it's basically a strictly an improvement over the Constitution class as it appeared in the Kelvin timeline shows. So I'm going to have to go with a C. It gets by. The Constitution 1, I guess, as it appeared in Kelvin, never liked it. It's way too big. And yes, some of these problems are shared with the refit of it. I know that. But when you immediately get this across to the viewer in Star Trek 2009, that this thing is like 700 meters long, has not nearly enough windows, has the same configuration as a ship that's half its size for no reason, and the nacelles are too close together. It's just, the more you look at it, the more it's bad, right? And other sci-fi franchises that come back with that director get to have their original ships looking exactly as they used to. But Star Trek doesn't get that. That's kind of weird. So you're going in D. We're almost done with the Constitution classes. The Constitution is Strange New Worlds version. A delightful surprise to see it when it showed up in Discovery. Hey, wow, this doesn't look completely terrible. It's just kind of not the one I wanted, but I don't want to call it a strict upgrade. Straighten those nacelles up, and we're talking. But for right now, Constitution as it appears in Strange New Worlds, it's going in C. It's serviceable. It gets by. It gets the job done. We're considering the Constitution as it was in the Cage and in TOS, two different ships for some reason. I would have thought I would have called them variants, but I didn't here. I guess I'm just crazy. The Constitution as it appeared in the Cage, with its bigger bridge and bigger forward dish and nacelle spikes. Like the nacelle spikes, don't really like everything else. I'm going with B. Just remember that a lot of what I'm going to say about the Constitution class regular is going to apply to that as well. So just keep that in your mind. The Constitution TOS, man, I love it. The more time goes by, the more I love this thing. It's just, every time I think I can fix it, I can't do it. Every time I look at it, I look at my model of the Constitution class, I'm blown away. I'm moved to shock. I don't know what to say. I'm just silent in its presence. I can't believe it the more I look at it. Maybe some of these things you could only appreciate if you try to model it yourself. I don't know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I do have my own model of this that I love. So I'm a little bit biased, and it's going in S. It's proud, this ship. The Copernicus style shuttle as it appeared in the animated series. I'm just going to kind of take it as more accurate to maybe what they intended for the show. Like, if you can just draw something, it's easier than building it. It probably costs less money, especially at that time. So this is probably more in line what maybe Matt Jeffries had in mind for auxiliary craft for the Enterprise. But this is the Copernicus. I don't know, it looks like a sled, as in a snow sled. Don't really like it. I like the shuttles we got in the show better. So this one's going in D. It's a little bit worse than serviceable. The Courage, another unusual Sydney Opera House ship from the 32nd century. Looks like a seashell. I don't know why we have to have all these different ships. Different shaped ships like this? What is the why did Starfleet all of a sudden need differently shaped ships that are this widely different from each other? I'd like to get an explanation for that. Like, what does this do? That being said, it's far from the worst that I saw in 32nd century. So Courage is just going in C. It gets by. The Credence, another ship from 32nd century Discovery season 3 or 4, I can't remember. It looks better on first inspection. When you look a little bit closer, it kind of falls apart. It kind of becomes a mess at the back. I don't know what's going on with it. I can't parse it out. It's visually confusing for me, which is bad for the Federation. So it's going in D. The 32nd century Crossfield class. It's a downgrade on an already bad ship. make the deflector dish look like crap, and basically just detach the nacelles and make it dark and splotchy. It's no. The crossfield already wasn't that good, but it's a little bit better than that. It's overly flat. It's way too big. It's brown. I don't think so. But you're a little tiny bit better than the 32nd century version, so you're going in D. There's a reason we threw out that original design, the Ralph McQuarrie Enterprise design. There's a reason that was thrown out. The Ibn Majid, the Curiosity class, it's just more sovereign. As soon as we got the Sovereign class, I don't know what happened. It was John Eves doing it. As soon as we got to the Sovereign, every ship was just going to be the Sovereign. It's overly slick. It's pointy. It's angular. It's ugly. It's the Curiosity, and it's going in C. It gets by. The Curry. One of the more ugly ships of the Excelsior class kit bashes. What if we just took the secondary hull and mated it directly to the saucer and then put it up at the front so it looked all frumpy and bad? That's the Curry. It's the one you don't want to get. So it's going in E. The Daedalus. I kind of love it. I love spherical hulls. I love the clunkiness of it. I love the old school kind of primitive nature of it. It was almost the Enterprise. If you know your Star Trek design lineage, this is the Daedalus class. And feel free to unsubscribe, but I'm putting it in S. I love it. I can't stop thinking about it. I draw it a lot. I model it. I just think it's cool. It stands out. It makes you think, wow, there's some astronauts on this thing, isn't there? That's why it's cool. The Danube or Danube, I'm not sure how you're supposed to say this. It's just a runabout. Watch Deep Space Nine. Look at the runabouts. Do you like that? They look clunky. I don't like greeblies. Greeblies is when there's little objects on the outside of the ship to make it look more complicated than it frankly really is. And this has it in spades. So I'm going to have to go with D. Star Trek ships were never supposed to have greeblies on the outside because that means someone would have to go outside to fix it. Although it's saved by the fact that it's small. So a small ship should kind of clunk it up a little bit more than a big ship. The Federation Dauntless. We can't say the original Dauntless. But the Federation Dauntless, I think it's a little bit worse than the Dauntless that originally appeared. But it passes as the Dauntless for me, which makes me like it. I think it's sized up compared to the original Dauntless. But in the what is the episode where Archer goes to the future with Daniels? What was it? Azadi Prime? Was that it? If you look at the Battle of Procyon 5, you can see a Dauntless there. So we technically already knew way back then that the Dauntless was going to become like an official Federation class. And I think the Dauntless that appeared in that episode was the original Dauntless and not this one. So there's some iffiness on whether or not we can actually consider the original Dauntless to be a Federation design. I didn't for this tier list, but I do like the Dauntless. I'm putting it in A, even though it's a little bit worse than the original Dauntless in my opinion. The Defiant, man, leave it to the Federation to come up with a design that's so simple, yet the more you look at it, you realize this could only be something from the Federation. This could have easily just been a flat pancake that was boring, but it's not. It's got ideas, right? It's got curves in the right places, and it's got that nose coming out like that, just suggesting Starfleet somehow. It just, without having any configuration in common with other Starfleet ships, it says Starfleet. It's a triumph in that regard, and it's going in A, but it's kind of like a low A for right now. What is this thing? Oh, the Delta Flyer. Who wouldn't want to be able to just design their own ship, just be given a blank check to do whatever they want? Maybe you come up with something like the Delta Flyer. I find it a little bit bland. It's a little bit too streamlined, a little bit too curvy, you know. It gets by, you know. I think I'd rather have this than a lot of other shuttles. So I'm gonna put it in B. I'm going B. It's pretty good. It's got a history to it, you know. The Dragon 2 capsule. This is a manned commercial spaceflight vehicle. We can't consider the rocket for this tier list, but the rocket does land itself, which is pretty cool. It has a cool interior design. It's got an interesting kind of design aesthetic on the outside. I think you can almost see a capsule that looks just like it in the Shango X1 poster from Picard Season 2. So it's pretty good. I don't quite think it's as cool as the Apollo. I'm putting it in C. Could do a little better. The Dreadnought from Star Trek Into Darkness. Hey, what if we just made the Enterprise huge and scary? Cool. We're done. And you can shoot it. You can shoot the bridge from the bottom. The bridge is visible from the bottom. So we were already getting some kind of negative volume / negative space usage. This further ahead in time before Discovery. So we're really setting the stage here, right? Setting the stage for all kinds of cool starship things that aren't that great, and it's going in D. The bird's eye type. Why the heck that should be in D? That's just, why did I put that in F? I'm already starting to question myself. This is getting bad already. Oh my goodness! What is that? No way. No way. That's the Dressel House when you zoom in? No freaking way. I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing. I'd rather die than get rescued by that ship. Leave me on the exploding asteroid. I don't care. You're going in F. The first F. Our first F is the Dressel House. Our first S was the Centaur. Let it be known. The Deuter stat, it's great from every angle until you see the secondary hull. It boggles the mind. What were they thinking with that set? Why is it jutting out so far ahead? Just take the secondary hull, move it back a little bit, and then up a little, and you're golden. It's like, it makes it twice as good when you do that. It's bamboozling. So right now, it's going in D. Change it around 1% and it goes to like a B, for God's sake. But I'm glad we had another Starfleet ship that up close, and I can't believe that's a selling point now for a show. Hey guys, there's another Starfleet ship that looks pretty good that's up close, and it's not hidden in the background. It's not from Star Trek Online. Pretty cool, eh? DY-100. Very old ship. I think this is the one that was the Botany Bay, I think, from TOS. I like an old clunker. This one had a launch configuration, which is freaking cool, but we're not considering rockets here. So the DY-100 is so primitive it needed a launch vehicle to send it on its way. It is hideous. The finish on it is very splotchy and bad, but it's kind of supposed to be. So it achieves its purpose. So it's going in C. The DY-500. What the hell? What is this? Oh yeah, that's the thing from Up the Long Ladder, I think, where the people that show up in that episode were on a DY-500. It's just the DY-100 with some advancements. It's probably in the same tier. It's got to be. The Echelon, I believe this is the Sagan class from Picard season that it first appeared in season 2 of Picard, but we're getting it again in season 3. The Echelon is just a tuna cell version of the Sagan class. So therefore, I like it probably more than the Sagan class. Sorry, and the Sagan class is kind of like the new, Constellation. It's kind of like a sequel class, and it also takes on the name Stargazer. So Echelon, you're going in B. I like it. I like a tuna cell ship, and you're serving the purpose. This is just a straight up, saucer with tuna cells in the bottom, except Star Trek Online style. Yay! Have fun in D. The Eisenberg. I like this more than the Courage, but they are similar. It's just kind of like take the Courage and then kind of lop the top off, and you got kind of just another seashell, frankly. So it has to go ahead of the Courage. I'm putting it in B. It's all right. It's so far it's the best of the 32nd century ships. The Elkins. This showed up so far in the background, it almost didn't show up in the show. I think it's it's an Intrepid saucer with a Constitution class secondary hull and some other crap stuck to it. It's just a kit bash which I think kit bashes are cute. I like them. There's some kit bashes that are amazing, but this one, there's a reason it showed up so far in the background. So it's going in D. The Emmet, just a ship from the intro to Enterprise. It's kind of just in like a, the aerodynamic kind of fuselage design that you would see in early Earth ships. It's just it's got some engines on the back. I think it's got nacelles. It's cool enough. It's kind of basically the warp delta. It's serviceable, so it's going to see the angle. This is the first ship in the Battle of the Binary Stars, like the first kind of 2 episodes of Discovery, which I saw and I was so excited for, and I watched them, and I kind of left with my jaw on the floor, and not in a super good way. The angle was one of the ships that caught my eye, and I did model it way back in the day. So there's something about it, if it kind of catches my eye, just kind of out of the crowd. I didn't really love basically any of the ships that were shown in Discovery right off the bat, but the angle was pretty, it's pretty alright. It's got some problems, but there's some ideas here, so I'm putting it in C. The Erawan, some sites spell it with an H in there, but Memory Alpha doesn't. It's the ship that kind of like, it's kind of like the Conestoga in Deep Space Nine. It was just kind of like, oh, here's these people on this ship/large shuttle that crashed it, and they just kind of hashed it out on this planet, and it was the Erawan class. Whatever. I can't find any real images of the entire ship, but you can see that it has walls. So it's probably a C. The Excelsior 2, another sequel class. Listen, I love the Excelsior, but there's something about the Excelsior 2 that the Excelsior is already long. You don't need to like sovereign up the saucer. I think that's a little misguided. I think the secondary hull, when you long it up like that, the secondary hull it's a little too big. It's a little bit too, it just feels kind of a big, bloated thing. And the Excelsior, what makes it amazing is little subtle things. It's something you don't really want to mess with too much. And they messed with it, and I don't think it's as good as the Excelsior. But it does its job in C. The Excelsior Study Model 1 with the 4 nacelle Excelsior Study Model, and I named these just randomly. There was when they made the Excelsior for Star Trek 3, they designed like 4 different study models to see which one I think Leonard Nimoy would pick, because I think he was directing. And the ones he didn't pick, those models, showed up in the background of other episodes like way later. Because why throw a design of a ship that you already made that can just be filmed from far away and look real, right? You don't need if a ship shows up really far in the background, it doesn't have to be super detailed, right? Or super good for that matter. So we had the 4 nacelle Excelsior model. It's really, really flat. It's 4 nacelled. It's not the Enterprise. It's in D. Another 4 nacelle ship, this one with the nacelles curved in a different way. I appreciate trying to do something different, but it's actually a little bit worse than the first study model. The study model 2, the 2 nacelled one. What the heck is this? Okay, we got an accident. Already there's a mess up. We're not supposed to have this one here. The Excelsior Study 1. That's not supposed to be there. That was from a previous edition of this tier list. I repaired that to call it the Excelsior Study Model 2. So we can now strike that one. Excelsior Study Model 2. 2 nacelles, 2 flat. It's bad. It's slightly better than the other ones, but it's not enough to go up a whole tier. So strike the Excelsior Study 1. How do we get rid of one? Can we just delete one? Dang it, we already messed something up. So we're putting this one here. The Excelsior, though, Oh, baby. You're going in A. What's more to say? It's a worthy improvement over the Constitution, too, I'll tell you that. If you want to go with the design lineage of Enterprises. It's long, it's large, it's in charge, it's the Excelsior. There's a reason why it got kit bashed out so many times, and we got so many Excelsior classes flying around. It just looks cool. This is the Explorer S55 satellite, I think. In the cage, I think the Enterprise computer is scanned, and they show images fly by of different ships and stuff like that. This is just kind of a cylinder. It's primitive. It's kind of hey, neato, neato. It's it is what it is. It's in D. The Farragut, I kind of liked it better when we all thought the Farragut was a Constitution class. The ship that Kirk was originally on. But this ain't so bad. It's just a saucer and 2 underslung nacelles with some rather ugly pylons to attach them. Straighten up these nacelle pylons, and it's a little better. But as for right now, the Farragut is going in. It's a solid D. It's a solid D. Okay. The Federation Attack Fighter. Is it the Peregrine class? Is it not? What is it? Federation Attack Fighter. I thought we didn't have starfighters, and I don't really like them. So it's going in D. Fed cargo vessel. What in the name of God? Okay, this is the I think this is a Federation cargo vessel that appeared in Strange New Worlds. It's chunky, it's brown. Whenever anything is bad in Star Trek, it's brown. I don't know why. These ships bronzy. It's just not. It's not it. This ain't it, Chief. Sorry about that. So this is gonna have to go in D. Maybe an E. Look at this monstrosity. The Federation scout ship from the animated series. Well, kind of looks like Starfleet made it, but it also kind of looks like, I don't know, something you stick in your mouth to figure out if you had a fever or not. So we're going D. The Federation scout ship as it appeared, I think, in Star Trek Insurrection. Man, that movie has some unfortunate design ideas. It's an ugly movie. And the Federation scout ship is ugly. Man, it don't look like it belongs to the Federation at all. It's going in E. I hate it. Federation trade vessel. It gets by. It looks better than the Federation scout ship from the animated series, but it's not enough to bring it up a tier. And that's about going to do it for part 1 of this video, because this video is already getting pretty long. So tune back in next time, and I'm going to go ahead and update this tier list, find more mistakes if I can, post it, so you can kind of play along. And I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'll see you next time I see you. Hopefully you appreciated this, and hopefully you clicked like, because this took a lot of work. I thought it was going to be fast. Actually, it took many hours, and it gave me many headaches. So yeah.